Well, congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays on making it to the World Series. Los Angeles is going to back-to-back World Series, looking to be the first back-to-back champion in over 25 years. Last team to do that was the New York Yankees. And Toronto is back in the World Series for the first time in 32 years. They last won a World Series in 1993, so they are at least back with a chance to win. Now, a week ago, this World Series matchup was not really what I had anticipated. It seemed obvious that the Dodgers were going to be back in the World Series. They were just dominating the Milwaukee Brewers every step of the way. And last time we talked, the Seattle Mariners were in the driver's seat of the ALCS. They had opened the series on the road in Toronto, took both of those games, which if you're a road team, the hope is that, hey, maybe we can win one of those and then go back home and take care of business there. But start 2-0 in Toronto, then it all kind of went downhill when the series flipped back to Seattle for games 3, 4, and 5. Toronto took 2 out of 3 in Seattle, and a grand slam by the Seattle Mariners is what saved them from being swept at home for 3, 4, and 5. Seattle was able to send the series back to Toronto for game 6. Toronto kind of had their backs against the walls. Still felt like, Seattle's going to close this thing out. But Toronto did what they had to do. Won game 6, forced game 7. And, man, I know that it's kind of a cliche, but there really is nothing better in sports than a game 7, whether that's MLB, NBA, NHL. The stakes are so high. You live and die with every pitch, every little thing that matters, and it's win or go home. There's nothing better. And in Game 7, it really looked like the Seattle Mariners were in control. They had kept the Toronto Blue Jays quiet, but all it takes is one, right? George Springer comes up, who has had many great postseason moments, comes up for Toronto and launches a go-ahead 3-run home run. And what an awesome sight. Toronto went crazy. That stadium, you could feel the energy through the TV, if that makes any sense. That crowd was going insane, and I can tell you just from firsthand experience, there's nothing better than being in a baseball stadium that is going absolutely nuts. I remember being in Kauffman Stadium for Alex Gordon's game-tying home run in the bottom of the 9th of Game 1 of 2015 World Series. I remember being in the stadium in 2014 wildcard game when Salvador Perez hit a walk-off to send the Royals to the ALDS. A loud baseball stadium is second to none, I think. And the energy shifted in Toronto's favor after that. I don't think that Toronto fans ever quieted down or sat down the rest of the way. As soon as that happened, it just kind of felt like, this game is over. And Toronto's pitching took care of business. They got to the 9th inning and struck out the side. And good for Toronto. You know, I would have loved to have seen a Milwaukee Brewers, Seattle Mariners World Series, just because that would have guaranteed a brand new or a first-time World Series champion. Obviously, the Brewers have been in a World Series before, but they've never won it. Seattle has never even been to the World Series, so there was a lot on the line for Seattle, and they just couldn't get it done this year. But again, congrats to the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. And if you're the Brewers, listen, you had the best record in the National League this year. You had a fantastic season. You did not have people expecting you to do what you did. You went out and you balled out, won the NL Central, got a first-round bye, beat the Cubs in the division series. And, sometimes you just gotta tip your cap to the other guys. The Dodgers just outplayed you. They just dominated. The pitching performance for all 4 games of the Dodgers was insane. You scored 4 runs in 36 innings. Now that's obviously something that you need to look at and go, what did we do wrong? But on the other hand, they just did what they had to do, and their pitching was just outmatched you and overpowered you. And, you look back and go, hey, it was a good season. Would we have liked to have gone farther? Obviously, but there's a lot to be happy about. And you go, hey, let's use this for motivation next year and actually make it there. Make it to the World Series and win this thing. For the Mariners, I think you proved everybody wrong. Over the last few seasons, you kind of came up short. You had expectations of being a team that could make a deep playoff run like you did this year and weren't able to really ever do it. But this year, not only did you make the postseason, you won the AL West, got a first-round bye, and, hey, took it all the way to Game 7 of the ALCS, and you have a catcher that had a crazy historic season. And I think even though Seattle didn't make it to the World Series, I think they checked off a lot of boxes. Win the division, win a playoff series. You hadn't won a playoff series in a long time. You hadn't won a game at home in 24 years. You took care of those things. Now it's, you kind of get the monkey off your back in those things. Now, obviously, the big elephant in the room is you're the only team in the league that's never been to a World Series, so now we got to check that off. And you have the squad to do that. And I think this is a team that now they know that they're capable of it. They can come back next year with that confidence and try it all over again. Now, you kind of look at it and go, if you're me, I go, there's really no way Kyle Riley hits 60 home runs again, is there? Like he was a 30 to 35 home run guy before this. I kind of feel like he's going to regress back to that. And he was a lot of the reason for their success. His success was able to free up Julio Rodriguez, take some pressure off of him, and let Julio be the player that he could be. So while I think he'll regress, I'm not saying that he's going to just fall off a cliff or anything, but 60 home runs is a tough number to hit. I mean, there's a reason that Roger Maris had the AL record of 61 home runs for forever until Aaron Judge broke that a few years back. Now, looking at the World Series, we already know the Dodgers, Game 1, are throwing out Blake Snell. Blake Snell pitched 8 innings. The other day had 10 strikeouts. Game 2, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He pitched a complete game in Game 2. So there's 15 innings combined by starting pitchers there. And Dodgers clearly showed that they're not afraid to have their pitchers go deep into the game in the postseason, the last series. So if Blake Snell is dealing, if Yamamoto is dealing, don't expect them to make a change just because analytics tell them to make a change. I think they'll just stay true to what's got them there in the postseason this far. On the flip side, the Blue Jays have not named any starters for the World Series yet. I'm just excited to see this Blue Jays lineup go against this Dodgers pitching staff. George Springer, Vladimir Guerrero, obviously NLCS MVP. He's had a fantastic postseason. Alejandro Kirk. They're talking about Bo Bichette possibly being back for the World Series as well, so that'll be a huge lift for Toronto. Now, if you're Toronto, you have the better record over the Dodgers, so you get to start at home. So games 1 and 2 are in Toronto. Don't go into Los Angeles down is really what it comes down to. Because I think if you go into Los Angeles down 2-0 or down 0-2, I don't know if you're going to get the series back to Toronto. I think the Dodgers are just way too good. Obviously, pitchers we mentioned earlier, Shohei Ohtani, who had one of the best games we've ever seen the other day, pitched 10 strikeouts over 6 innings, 3 home runs as well. Just absolutely crazy. Obviously, you still have Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and the whole crew of Dodgers players there. Toronto has their work cut out for them, is what I'll say. But I will say that I don't know many people that are going to be rooting for the Dodgers. I don't think people are happy with the Dodgers and their massive payroll, people feeling like Dodgers are buying championships, people saying that Dodgers have ruined baseball, and you have the Dodgers manager that's kind of leaned into that and said, hey, well, let's go and win another championship and ruin baseball. I think a lot of the stuff that you've seen the Dodgers do from a business standpoint, what their front office has done, is going to be a heavy subject come this time next year when the collective bargaining agreement is on the table and we're looking at probably a lengthy work stoppage. You're going to be looking at, all right, let's close this deferred payments loophole that the Dodgers created. Let's look at balancing the economics, whether that's figuring out a way to do a salary cap or capping contract lengths, and finding a way to do all that without removing guaranteed contracts. It's a big discussion there. But anyway, yeah, Dodgers are the villain right now, and I think it is obviously Toronto has an entire country behind them in Canada, and I think most of America is probably rooting for Toronto as well. But I honestly think this is going to be a good series. 2 of the best teams in baseball. I think Toronto was a little bit of a surprise this year. Dodgers were not. Dodgers are the favorites heading into Friday. But it's going to be a good week. It's going to be a good World Series. It's been a great 2025 season. Postseason has lived up to the hype. Had multiple series go the distance. And hey, hopefully we can get a Game 7 out of the World Series and take this thing all the way into November. So games 1 and 2 of the World Series are Friday and Saturday. Then the series heads to Los Angeles on Monday through Wednesday. And then you have all of the if necessaries after that. So thank you for listening today. I will catch you next week to talk World Series.